So I hope in this video to make sense of this class, and I'm going to start with first the personal side of what I experienced in Ds106. I actually remember here first acknowledging Ds106 while I was in Cambodia over December, and I was in Siem Reap, and I was talking to Bobby, another student who had taken the course, and he kind of had this weird spin on the whole idea. He said, digital storytelling is the class is structured in a way that you build this story as if you're playing a video game, but then there's this meta-narrative of you having a story about you being a character. The story, you're the character playing the game, but then there's a story about how that character is controlled. So you're both the character in the game and the user of the game. And it's some kind of interesting and bizarre. And I remember when I first got on Ds106.us, and I was taken is this better? I don't know. I was taken aback by the site, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? There was this, movie posters featured on the front, and there were all these posts, and I kind of just searched through, and actually what struck me, and something, I think I was going to remix it, but I didn't feel like I could do well enough, was that other student, Tokyo50.mm. I think it's a student, not Japanese, someone from Europe, I presume, who came to Japan, or maybe even America, who came to Japan to study, and are amazing, incredible at taking photographs of ordinary people, ordinary events, and spending a lot of time writing about it and finding more of a history about it. The Seven Strangers visual assignment, where you had to photograph 7 strangers and tell a story, was really fascinating. And so that really kind of struck a chord with me. And I was really interested in this space as I began, so I was really invested, and I had this idea of making my site. Muslims is this an official record of what Muslims is. Muslims was a character I developed, or had, and if you've heard of Warcraft 3, it's a strategy game, and I was in this clan, and there's this other person called Fuzzums, and they were like really fun, so I made Muslims, and that's kind of how Muslims began. It was just to be fun and lighthearted. And it's just kind of a name that stuck with me, and as I found out, I have a UMW blog, muslims.umwblogs.org, and there's my freshman seminar essay and infanticide on it, which I have no recollection of that. Barely any recollection. So anyways, that's something that stuck with me, and at some level I feel it's a little bit childish going into the real world, but I like Muslims. It's catchy. It's identifiable. If you search Muslims on Google, it's pretty much the top choice. It's always easy for a username. So I appreciated Muslims, and kind of something weird I was doing, and no one's ever mentioned this. No one's ever said this, and maybe that's why I stopped. But in a couple of my posts, I started building this story about Muslims, who was this person in medieval times. Who knows? Not even medieval, even older times, and he's in a tavern, and it's kind of a mix between this idea of this old tavern with the fireplace going and the mead passed around, and he has this computer. He's this legend, and this this person, this peasant, comes up begging him to reclaim his glory days and to, make justice with his past, as he's kind of fallen out of his former self, his legend. And so this Muslim search shows this boy how to use multi-site. And that's kind of how I worked that narrative with multi-site and multi-site in this story about Muslims. And so it was kind of cool. No one said anything about it. So I kind of just stopped that, and I did use it a couple other times. He does the multi-site thing, and then he's like found passed out on the side of the tavern. It's raining, and this guy comes up to him while he's in this tiny net. I think it was like supposed to be like a netbook or something. This piece of shit laptop, and he is going to use it and going to reclaim his former self. But I kind of stopped that, possibly because it was kind of time consuming on top of the other work I had. But it was really fun. And I was thinking of doing that for the final project, and things just didn't develop that way. But so I had that kind of thing going on, and I had the huge failure with multi-site, which I can fairly certainly blame it on cast iron coding, because the server they put me on was terrible. And what happened is I'd had the multi-site, but then, and I'd have my other sites. I kind of had this idea of having like a Muslims.com, and then having all my writing stuff on like writing.muslims.com, and having that format be a lot better for writing or visually, since my site isn't that great for visually showing writing. It kept going back to hover. It kept like being really tenuous and failing, so I gave up the multi-site. I still have it, but I haven't really pursued it anymore. And actually, the hacking event where I was kind of what liberated that, and I never have. Sometimes I see the hover thing show up when I go to my site, but I've never had my site not be able to go to my site, and that was so frustrating for 3 or 4 weeks. I couldn't go to my site, and I couldn't. I was just so angry. I deleted my site at one point. I completely deleted my site, and had to build anew. So that was how upsetting it was. And then kind of going on with that was like the daily crates, and we had to do all these daily crates, and I didn't have a phone, which is what I usually take photos on. So I was like borrowing phones. I was using other people's computers because my webcam doesn't work on my computer. So it's kind of just a weird, stupid time where my daily crates were pretty poor, and yeah, that was the other aspect. Until I got my phone was where I kind of transitioned to pretty fun, so I could actually like take photos when I wanted to. And then I just jumped into the visual and design stuff. I can't think of any particular components. The Illustrator thing was really cool, how I kind of stumbled upon that, which actually I found out Illustrator is only, well, I guess Macs have it if you have a new enough Mac, but Illustrator is available. How I found it is I work in Monroe, and on the Windows computers upstairs on the second floor in the geography lab, they have Illustrator because it's used for map making. So I found that, and I kind of like started playing around with images, and I think I have the minimalist travel poster, which really isn't a minimalist travel poster or movie poster, but that was kind of what I was working with, and it was really cool, and it kind of was a step in the door